The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Your soul is colored by the very words you speak to yourself and to the world. And maybe you felt this far too clearly. You're standing in the middle of a conversation about to say something important. But the moment your words leave your lips, everything shifts. Their eyes glance past you, a polite nod, a silence that drops into your chest like a stone. It feels as if you're speaking in the middle of a storm, your words blown away by the wind leaving behind only your breath. Not because you're wrong, not because you lack value, but because the words you choose are painting your soul with a shade of weakness, a shade others can see and unconsciously dismiss. Some sentences sound polite, some sound humble, but in truth they are invisible chains you place around your own neck before you even step into the conversation. Here is the harsh but liberating truth of Stoicism. People aren't underestimating you. Your words are asking them to. You don't notice it, but each small sentence you speak rewrites how others treat you. And more importantly, it rewrites the way you see yourself. Today we break those chains. In this video, I'll show you 7 phrases that instantly make you look weak. Phrases that cause people to overlook you even when your ideas are valuable and worth hearing. But more importantly, you'll learn what to say instead. You'll learn how to hold weight in your words. You'll learn how to become mentally unbreakable, not loud, not forceful, simply strong. If you're ready to step in, let me guide you through the first flame. Section 1, phrase number 1, I think, I feel. You walk into a meeting or an important conversation. In your mind is a crystal clear idea, sharp like a freshly sharpened blade. But the moment you open your mouth, the first thing that slips out is, I think, I feel like maybe. Instantly you feel the energy in the room drop. No one pushes back, no one reacts. Your idea just passes by, unnoticed like a drop of rain falling into the ocean. Inside you, a familiar question echoes. Why don't they take what I say seriously? But deep down, you already know why you erased your own authority in the first 2 words. Words like, I think, I feel, maybe, I guess sound polite and humble, but they send a brutally clear signal to the listener's brain. This is just a personal opinion. You don't need to take it seriously. Stoicism teaches that your mind must be clear before your words can be clear. If you speak as if you're unsure of your own thoughts, others will be unsure of you too. Here's the truth you already thought, you already felt, you already analyzed. So when you speak, you must speak the conclusion, not the messy assembly process behind it. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Know exactly what you want to say, then say it that way. 3. Practical steps to apply immediately. Step 1. Pause, stop for half a second before speaking. Feel clearly what message you want to deliver. Step 2. Reframe, replace. I think with this approach solves based on what we see, and the best direction is step 3. Act. Speak the conclusion, not the hesitation. Speak like someone who has decided, not someone asking for permission to have an opinion. At work you say, I think maybe we should try a different strategy. It sounds like someone afraid of being wrong. But when you switch to, here's the strategy that solves the issue, the atmosphere shifts immediately. People listen. Your words land with weight like a stone on a table, not a dried leaf in the wind. At home, it's the same. If you say, I feel like we could maybe, you're practically inviting people to ignore you. But when you say, going to the beach fits everyone's schedule best, your voice becomes the anchor. But this is only the first doorway. If this phrase challenges your mind, the next one will challenge your soul. Section 2, phrase number 2, this might be a dumb question, but you're sitting in a meeting, a classroom, or an important discussion. In your mind, there's a question, not ridiculous, not silly, just a perspective that needs clarity. Your heart beats faster. Your hands grow slightly damp. You raise your hand, and before the real question comes out, you say, this might be a dumb question, but in that instant, you feel like a student standing in the middle of a grand hall, small, awkward, apologizing for daring to be curious. Their faces shift. Their eyes soften, but in a way that feels like pity, not respect. And deep inside, you know exactly what you just did. You placed a label on your own forehead. I'm dumb before anyone even heard your question. Shen, Stoics consider questions the sharpest tools of the mind. Questions dissect reality. They illuminate the dark corners of thought. But when you say, this might be a dumb question, you shatter the natural power of the question, because that phrase sends out a very clear signal. I don't trust my own intelligence. I'm asking for permission to speak. What I'm about to say might be worthless, so go easy on me. Stoicism teaches wisdom never apologizes for existing. A strong question isn't strong because it's correct. It's strong because it is presented without self-insult. Socrates said, "The only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing." But notice he never began with, this might be dumb, but 3. Practical steps to apply immediately. Step 1, recognize that the fear of being judged is only a reflex, not truth. Step 2, replace the entire apologetic opener with, help me understand. What would happen if, walk me through. Step 3, act. Ask like someone seeking clarity, not someone begging permission to exist. In a training session, you say, this might be dumb, but what if we reverse the process? Everyone looks at you like a newcomer. Your question is treated as something to pat on the head, not analyze. But if you say, help me understand what would happen if we reverse the process, the entire room shifts. People lean in, they think, they evaluate. The same question, but now it carries weight, authority, and seriousness. You're no longer begging for intelligence. You're demonstrating it. If this one made you stop and rethink, prepare yourself. The next phrase quietly destroys the respect people have for you every single day. Section 3, phrase number 3. Sorry to bother you, but imagine this. You need someone's help with something small, a quick email reply, a document that needs review, a perfectly reasonable request. You stand at their door or in front of your chat box or hovering over the call button. And like some childhood reflex wired deep in your nervous system, you say, sorry to bother you, but instantly your chest tightens, your voice shrinks. You feel like an accidental guest standing outside a door that isn't yours, knocking lightly because you don't want to wake anyone. You don't say it out loud, but the energy underneath that sentence whispers, I don't deserve your attention. And you can feel very clearly the other person responding to that energy. They hear you, but they don't really listen. They agree, but they don't really prioritize. You just placed your own needs at the bottom of their list with one unnecessary apology. Stoicism centers itself on dignity, innate worth, not arrogance, not ego, but the understanding that a reasonable request requires no apology. Your existence requires no justification. When you say, sorry to bother you, you broadcast one belief: you don't think your needs deserve to be met. And people simply mirror the value you project. Stoics teach that a request spoken with clarity earns respect. A request wrapped in apology is dismissed. Epictetus wrote, no person is free who is not master of themselves. If you cannot master your own voice, you are not truly free. 3 practical steps to apply immediately. Step 1 was to recognize that the reflex to apologize first is rooted in fear of rejection, not humility. Step 2, replace the opening line entirely with, quick question. I need your input on, following up on, no circling around, no apologizing for communicating. Step 3, state your need clearly. I need this by tomorrow. Let me know when you can review this. Unemotional, direct, respectful. Think of the time you messaged a colleague, sorry to bother you, but can you send me the file? They answered, sure, but send it whenever they felt like it. Now compare that to, can you send me the file by 3 p.m.? Everything shifts. There is no pressure, only clarity. People respond differently when you speak like someone who believes in their own value. If this phrase made you realize how often you apologize for your own existence, then the next phrase will show you how you've been quietly stripping away your credibility without even noticing. Section 4, phrase number 4. I'm no expert, but you're in a meeting or a tense group discussion. A critical issue is on the table, and inside your mind the answer is clear, bright as a torch in a dark room. You know, you have a valuable perspective. You know you've lived through this situation before. But then almost like a reflex carved into your bones, you open your mouth and say, I'm no expert, but... And the moment those words escape, you can feel your authority drop to the floor. It's as if you just took off your armor, laid your sword on the ground, and quietly said, "Don't expect too much from me." Their eyes shift ever so slightly. They listen, but they don't lean in. They hear you, but they don't weigh your words. Not because you're wrong, not because your idea lacks merit, but because you stripped yourself of credibility before they even had a chance. And in that moment, you feel that hollow sting. Why do I keep shrinking myself? Why do I apologize before I even speak? Stoicism places enormous value on clarity, the clarity of a steady mind, not arrogance, not ego, but a refusal to erode your own strength. The phrase, "I'm no expert," sends a dangerous signal. Don't take me seriously. I'm not responsible for what I'm about to say. This probably isn't worth much. And if you don't stand behind your words, no one else will. Stoics teach. If you know something, speak as someone who knows. If you don't, be silent or ask. But never lead with a disclaimer that denies your own competence. Yeah. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. If what you're saying is true, do not hide it behind fear." 3. Practical steps to apply immediately. Step 1. Pause. Catch yourself in the moment you're about to dilute your own voice. Step 2. Reframe, replace the phrase entirely with, "In my experience." What I've observed is, the data suggests, these statements project clarity, not caution. Step 3. Act, deliver your point with calm, grounded confidence. No apology, no self-sabotage. At a neighborhood meeting, a real engineer said, "I'm no expert, but speed bumps might help." The room nodded politely and moved on. Minutes later, a school teacher with no engineering background said, "Based on what I've seen, speed bumps reduce speed by about 15 miles per hour." No apology, no softening, clear, direct, grounded. The result? The teacher's idea was taken seriously. The engineer's wasn't, not because of quality, but because of presentation. If this phrase made you realize how much you've been shrinking yourself, be careful the next phrase strikes at one of the deepest human cravings, the need to be liked, acknowledged, and accepted. Section 5, phrase number 5. Does that make sense? You're sitting across from someone, a colleague, a close friend, or someone you love. You've just shared something important. A major decision, a plan for your future, a reason you've been thinking about for weeks. You finish explaining it and let out a quiet breath. But then, almost like a subconscious habit, you add, "Does that make sense?" The moment those words leave your mouth, your chest sinks a little. It suddenly feels like you're really asking, is what I think reasonable enough? Do I sound stupid right now? The person in front of you hesitates, barely noticeable, but you catch it. And in that tiny pause, the way they see you shifts, not as someone presenting a clear decision, but as someone seeking approval. A sting hits inside you. Why am I asking for permission to think? Does that make sense? Sounds polite, but underneath it sends a hidden message. You don't trust your own clarity. You're shifting the responsibility of understanding onto them. You're seeking validation, not truth. Stoicism teaches clarity, a clean, steady mind. If you understand what you're saying, then say it. If they don't understand, they'll ask. You don't need them to approve your thoughts. Here's the deeper truth. A question like this makes people doubt you, not because your content is wrong, but because your posture is unsure. Epictetus says, first learn the meaning of what you say and then speak. If you already know what you're saying, don't ask others to certify your reasoning. 3 are practical steps to apply immediately. Step 1. Right as you're about to say, "Does that make sense?" Stop for one breath. See the insecurity behind it. Step 2, reframe. Replace the phrase with, "What questions do you have? Which part needs more clarity? Let me know if anything is unclear." These invite dialogue, not validation. Step 3, choose after you speak, stay silent. Let the space work for you. You tell your best friend about your decision to switch careers. You explain the logic, the plan, the reasons. But you end with, "Does that make sense?" Immediately you see a flicker of uncertainty in their eyes. Not because your decision is flawed, but because you just signaled, "I'm not sure." A year later, you tell someone else, "I'm changing careers because of A, B, and C." If you have questions, feel free to ask. No approval seeking, just clarity. The result, they begin analyzing with you, not judging you. If this phrase made you realize you've been asking for permission to think, the next one will reveal how you sabotage every argument before the argument even begins. Section 6, phrase number 6. You're probably right, but you're in the middle of an important discussion. Maybe it's with your family. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's a conversation that could change the direction of something big. You listen to the other person speak. You see a different angle, not from emotion, but because you notice something they don't. Your heart beats once a bit stronger. You inhale and prepare to speak. But then you soften your own voice with a padded preface, and you're probably right, but the moment those words leave your lips, you feel it as if you just hung a sign around your neck. My opinion is weak. Don't expect much. The atmosphere shifts. They keep listening, but not with seriousness, just politely. And deep inside, you know exactly what happened. You shattered the weight of your point before delivering it, like a warrior stepping into the arena with tied hands. Stoicism teaches truth does not require permission to exist, and a viewpoint does not need an apology before being spoken. You're probably right, but is a pre-defeat. It sends a message. I'm not confident in my own thinking. I'm saying this out of obligation, not clarity. My perspective is weaker than yours. And once you place yourself below the other person, they simply accept that position. Stoics value clear-grounded disagreement, firm but not aggressive. You can oppose without bowing your head. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can show me I'm thinking wrongly, I will gladly change. But until then, I will hold to what seems true." That is the spirit, open but not self-erasing. 3. Practical steps to apply immediately. Step 1. Observe. Notice the impulse to apologize for disagreeing. Step 2. Reframe, replace. You're probably right, but with "I see it differently. Here's why." There's another angle I want to add. Here's a concern I have. These keep dignity intact. Step 3. Choose. Present your viewpoint like someone who believes truth deserves to be voiced even when it's uncomfortable. During a family meeting about caring for an elderly parent, someone says, "You're probably right, but I just wonder if..." Everyone nods politely and ignores the rest. But another person speaks, "There's a serious issue with that option. Here's why." The room freezes. People listen. The discussion resets. Not because they were louder, not because they were more important, but because they believed in their perspective enough to stand tall when expressing it. Think this is the weakest phrase. It's not. There is one more, the most dangerous one, the one that makes people dismiss you the moment you open your mouth. Section 7, phrase number 7. I think this might be wrong, but, or any self-doubting variation. Think of a moment like this. You're about to say something important, an insight you know is valuable, something that could shift the entire direction of the conversation. But inside, a small shadow rises. I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I don't upset anyone. I hope what I'm about to say is good enough. And instead of speaking with clarity, you stitch a flimsy patch to the front of your sentence. I think this might be wrong, but in that exact second, it feels like you gently placed your hand on your own throat and pressed mute. Your voice loses weight. Your idea loses gravity. Your presence loses its anchor. You didn't just doubt yourself, you invited everyone else to doubt you too. Stoics understand something brutally simple. An idea is never weak because it's wrong. It becomes weak when the speaker refuses to stand behind it. Openings like, "I might be wrong. I'm not sure, but maybe I'm mistaken." Create a psychological broadcast that says, "Tread lightly. This thought is probably worthless. My voice is optional. I don't trust myself, you shouldn't either." And the cruel truth, people believe the signal you send even when you're presenting the strongest, clearest point in the room. Stoicism teaches you are not required to be perfect, but you are responsible for the clarity of your own voice. Seneca wrote, "If a man knows not what harbor he seeks, no wind is favorable." If you don't stand firm in what you're saying, no one can help your message reach its destination. Action steps to apply immediately. Step 1, recognize that "I'm afraid of being wrong" is a feeling, not a fact. Step 2, reframe, replace self-doubting openers with, "Here's what I see." And there's a point we may be missing. Let me add a perspective. These don't inflate the ego, they simply remove the unnecessary apology. Step 3, act. Speak as a person presenting information, not as someone begging for permission to speak. 5, real-life example. At work, you say, I might be wrong, but these numbers don't look consistent. No one looks up. Your comment is mentally filed under soft opinions. But if you say, there's an inconsistency in these numbers, here's where it shows. The entire room shifts. People turn toward you. They ask questions. They examine the issue. Not because you were more right, but because you stood upright while speaking the truth you saw. And if you think these 7 phrases are just words, wait for the final part, because Stoicism doesn't just change how you speak. It changes how you exist in front of the world. When you remove these 7 weakening phrases, you're not just changing your speech. You're rewriting who you believe yourself to be. Stoic emotional mastery is not coldness nor indifference. It is the ability to stand steady in the storm even when the world trembles around you. It is a torch burning in the dark, silent, unmoving, but unmistakably bright. It is a river carving through stone, not by force but by persistence, shaping mountains without ever raising its voice. Real strength doesn't come from adding more words. It comes from eliminating the ones that make you smaller. And when you speak with the stillness of someone who truly knows who they are, the entire room shifts. Not because you try to appear strong, but because you finally stop making yourself weak. Comment below which phrase hit you the hardest today. And if you're ready to continue the journey toward becoming mentally unbreakable, subscribe to Easy Stoic, where every video is a training ground for your mind.